Hello, this is a tutorial on how you can create visuals for your music inside Ableton Live. And to do this, I'm going to be using a suite of Max for Live devices called ZwoBot. If you're new to ZwoBot, I'd recommend you go back and watch some of my earlier videos first, and I'll put a link to those in the top right corner of the screen now. And if you're interested in buying ZwoBot, there's a link in the description. You get all of these Max devices, which are various visual effects and visual generators. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Petra device, which recreates a Petra style video effect, which is a type of visual manipulation that mimics the output of the Petra video synthesizer, which was an analog video device from the 70s. So here I've just got some videos that I've created, and it's cycling through a bunch of different videos using the Quickset device. So if I turn on our Petra device, you can see it's applying the effect right away. So let's have a look at some of these settings. So Extrude, this creates an effect whereby the brighter parts of the image or video are going to come out of the image. So I'm just going to move the position of it and turn the density up so we can just see it a bit clearer. So you can see the video underneath there. And as I bring up the extrude levels, you can see the brighter parts of the visual are jumping out. So it's as if they're jumping out towards us in this case. So the higher up it is, the more the brighter parts of the image are going to jump out. Now over here we've got modes, so there are different ways that the image can be mapped onto this effect. So currently I've got line mode, which is converting the image into a series of lines, but you've also got mesh. If I bring the density down a bit, we'll see it a bit clearer. So now it's a mesh, so that's lines, mesh. We've got points, which is basically circles, little circles, and then texture, which is just keeping it as a solid object. So they're the different modes, and then the density is going to control how many of those lines or points or lines of the mesh are going to be present. So when you've got the density very low, you can see there's not many lines in this mesh. There's not many lines in the line mode, not many points. And with the texture mode, the density controls how much of the image is coming out. So you can see as I bring the density, if I turn the extrusion up, we might be able to see it a bit more. As I turn the density up, those bits that are pointing out become smaller. Whereas when it's very low, it's larger parts of the image that are poking out. So that's how it operates with the texture, but with the other ones, it's to do with the amount of lines or dots that the image is converted into. So if you want to be able to see the details of the video, you're probably going to want to have the density turned up quite high, because the lower it goes, the less you're going to be able to see what is actually underneath it. There's also this button you'll see next to the density dial. So that only applies to this line mode, and that basically controls the direction of the lines. So you can see now the lines are vertical, but if I press that, the lines will be horizontal. Over here we have got a grid where you can move the visual around, so you can change the angle and position of it. Deform will deform the shape. I'm going to keep that in the middle. And then over here we've got these shape options. So by default it's on plane, which is just, if I go to texture mode and I turn this down, it's just a flat 2D surface that the visual is going to be on. Whereas if I go to circle, that changes it to a flat circle. So plane is a flat rectangle, circle is a flat circle. And as you can see, it also distorts the image into a circular shape. Sphere makes it a 3D sphere. You can see it a bit more if you turn the extrusion up. As I'm moving it around, you can see it becomes a 3D shape. Capsule turns it into this capsule shape. And cylinder makes it a cylinder shape. Cube is a cube, and then open cube is a cube with open edges. So you can choose the shape that you want the video to be projected onto with these options. Down here we've got Vignette, so that adds a vignette effect to the visual. Over here we've got the size, so that just changes the size of the shape. And then we've got slide, so this, you'll notice, it smooths out a transition between the videos. So as it's transitioning between these videos, you can see it creates a kind of fade between them. And then smooth will smooth out the movement with this extrude setting. When it's lower, it's a bit more jittery, whereas turning the smooth setting up will smooth out that movement a bit. Down here we've got this plus button, so if you press that you can input some specific coordinates for this position map. So you can see as I drag this up, it's changing the position on the x-axis, and then this one will control the y-axis, and I can input something specific there as well. And then down here we've got weight, so this controls the thickness of your lines or points. So at the moment it's 5, which is the default setting, but if I knock this up, you will notice that these lines become thicker, and same with the mesh and the points. So you can see they're very small when they're down, and then as you get up you're getting bigger circles. Down here we've got this T and C button. So T is on by default, and that means that it's going to apply this effect as a texture on top of your visual. Whereas if you select C, which stands for color, it's just going to apply the effect onto this gradient color. And then if it's off, it's just black and white. And it is still influenced by the video, so it's still extruding the parts of the video that are brighter. So you can see, if I turn the density up, you still get the shapes from the video, even when texture is off. But if you want to be able to see more of the detail in the video, you can turn texture mode on. But even with it off, you're still seeing those shapes from the video. In the bottom left corner, we've got our usual transparency controls. So that will control the overall transparency of the effect, and then here we've got blend modes, which will blend the effect with the underlying visual. So a lot of these controls, as you can see, have audio reactive settings, so I'm just going to unmute this track so we get some audio. And I'm going to just apply some sound reactive settings to some of these so we can see what it looks like. So let's have the extrude, I'm going to turn texture mode back on. Let's have the extrude setting responds to the lows. So this creates an effect of part of the image being pushed out in response to the lower frequencies. Let's maybe have the size respond to the highs. If I wanted, I could have this x-axis responds to the highs, so it will move on the x-axis in accordance with the higher frequencies. And I could do the same with the y-axis on the lower frequencies. I'll turn those off. And I could have this position change as well. As soon as you put any audio reactivity on this grid, or if you put the beat control on, you get these additional options here. So JP stands for jump, and what that means, just put my master beat control on because currently it was off. What that means is it's going to jump between positions, but you can apply some animation, so instead of just jumping to them, it'll animate between the positions. And there's also options for ease in, so EI is ease in, EO is ease out, and then LI is linear, so that will just be an even transition between the positions. I'm going to keep that in the default position. I'm going to stop this size being affected as well. I'll maybe make it a bit bigger. And if we wanted, we could have this density change in accordance with the beat control. So on every half note, the density is going to change to a random amount. And that is the Petra device. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I've got loads more ZwoBot tutorials on all the other devices if you want to watch those. And I'll be back with another one soon.